Found my button. Good evening, and welcome to Having a Drink with Mink. I'm your host, Jason Mink, and, they're always in the last place you expect to find them, huh? I'll put that there for later. Welcome to the show. It's great to see you on this bi-weekly thing we've been doing here. We hope to get back to doing some weekly stuff soon. Halloween is coming up. We got a lot of spooky stuff for you, so stay tuned for that. But no sense in talking about the future when there's so very much to get to in the present. As you can see, we got a big old stack of comic books. We got some plastic right here. We even have naked Woody Harrelson making the scene. Today he's doing some kind of, space theme thing where no man has gone before, or perhaps should have. It's ironic because I laid out this nice pair of Star Trek pants for him, but he won't have it. But, all right, buddy, you keep marching to your own drum there. We salute you. We're going to get right to it. I hope you have a nice beverage on hand. I know that I do. We call this one a cool exec with a heart of steel for a reason. Because we're going to be looking at some Iron Man stuff. Oh, yeah, you bet. This is the first Iron Man action figure that I had in the 6-inch scale. This is the Marvel Legends Series 1 Iron Man figure. And I went all the way out to Century 3 Mall to buy this guy. Granted, he's seen better days. A little scuffed up, broken back here at the knee. I replaced that, I guess, seems like spearmint gum or something like that. But nonetheless, here he is making the scene for this special episode. Not only that, but we have the most recent Iron Man figure that I purchased, and this is from Hasbro, and this is the AI Iron Man. How can you tell, you might be asking? Well, it's that little blue spot right there in the repulsor. I guess the regular had like a gold, sort of yellow kind of thing, but this is to designate that this is a more contemporary version of Iron Man after Tony Stark has died, and an artificial intelligence has inhabited his armor. I don't have the head, but I do have the hands somewhere. But he's a slick-looking figure, and he's in a little bit better shape than this guy. I figure I'm going to need at least two of them to take on the Titanium Man. Oh, yeah. Now, this big boy comes to us from Marvel Select. And Marvel Select has been bringing us remarkable figures for, 25 years now, if I'm not mistaken. Been a good long time. These figures are always hyper-detailed. They have beautiful paint, often some very elaborate bases, and you get a lot of plastic for your money. Now, this thing retails for $30, which is a great deal when you consider you go to a store like Kmart or Hills. Do those still exist? And you pick up a figure like this, he might be $25. Whereas this guy, stand up. This guy right here, $30. You get all this plastic, get an extra head, a couple sets of hands there. Pretty nifty. He comes in this beautiful box. Very cool artwork on the side. And their award-winning packaging design. Showing his head right there. Is that Mick Fleetwood? Looking pretty good. All right, well, let's get him out of the package. Now, ordinarily, Stabby Joe would be here, but I haven't seen him in a couple weeks, to be honest with you. And that's kind of alarming, to be honest with you, because, well, he's a knife, and... I have a hard enough time as it is, what with breaking my toes and all that stuff. Did you hear about that? I don't remember if I talked about that. My kid was so angry I didn't take a picture. I broke my little toe. I whacked it off a base cabinet. Went sideways like this. It looked like a cheese curl. Oh, dear. And here he is out of the package. Well, that was a bit of a battle, absolutely, but I can see why, because this figure Well, he's pretty heavy, so you wouldn't want him busting out of his clamshell in transit. No, sir or madam, you would not. Now, he's not quite as heavy as the Marvel Select Thing figure from a few years ago, which is kind of a surprise because he seems like he's bigger, but nonetheless, he is quite hefty. There's a lot of mass to this figure. It feels very solid, absolutely. You could definitely give this to a kid to play with, and they would have a good time, as long as they were respectful of some of the curious articulation. We'll get to that in a moment, but right off the bat, Titanium Man, he looks dynamite. He scales very nicely to Marvel Legends. You know, you would think that Titanium Man would be a good couple feet taller than Iron Man. That works out very nicely for displays, things like that. I've always been an advocate of the classic armor. I know that T-Man has gone for a more sophisticated, slimmed down look in recent years, but this is the way to go as far as I'm concerned, and this Marvel Select figure really reflects that aesthetic. It seems to hit all the beats. Now, there isn't a lot of paint on this figure other than the head and the bottom of his feet here. That's where we'll start, and there's this wonderful grid texture. It's almost like meat hammer, you know what I mean? It's got these like little points, ideal for mashing capitalist faces into the ground. As you can see, most of the body is molded in this one color, but there is kind of like an iridescence to it, like a gloss. I'm not sure if that's something that they added to the plastic, or maybe there's an overspray. Can't really say for sure, but the head has some really nice paint. This is the human head. There are a couple troublesome spots, areas like that, and I'm not quite sure what's going on there. A little bit of missing paint in his eyebrow, but ultimately, well, I'm guessing you're not going to be displaying this guy with the human head. You're going to want the Titanium Man head. Got a lot of a lot of expression, a lot of tilt. Oh, you can look down. Oh, that's cool, man. You can look up. Got kind of like a Iron Giant sort of thing going on. So, yeah, absolutely. As far as articulation goes, it's very nice, the head with this ball joint here. And it's also on kind of like a, what do you call that, a swivel ratchet kind of thing. So that works out very nicely. Not a lot of movement at the arms because of these cuffs, but that's okay. You know, ultimately you got to realize that a figure this big, he's going to have some limitations, especially when he's got such a detailed sculpt, but he does have a single point of movement here. This is a swivel, and it can come up a little bit, maybe, I don't know, like 30 degrees, but probably get some good punching angles in there, absolutely. And his torso has a nice range of motion. Get some swiveling going on there, get some leaning forward, and even a little bit of moving upwards like that. So you could do some flight poses. And his legs, there's a cut joint right here, and so that allows them to move and work with this curious bit right here, which is a hinge joint. And the thing is, there's a lot of meat right here, so you have to make sure that this thing is lined up, because if you have this lined up with that and you push it, well, you might break it right off, no matter how sturdy this thing is. So have a little bit of care, respect the articulation, and looks really good. Now, he comes with an extra set of hands. Oh, yes, he does. And they come off very easily, as you can see. And they're grabby hands. So he can just grab Iron Man by the head there and punch this guy like that. You know, it's pretty good as far as it goes. So yeah, absolutely. Retails for $30 in your comic book shop. They might have them for a couple bucks more or less on the internet. I would say play the long game, but he's a great figure if you're an Iron Man fan, or if you just like big robots. I mean, I know that I do. Okay. Well, that was a lot of yammering. I deserve a little bit of liquid refreshment. Hope things have cooled down in your area. We are definitely in autumn now. Far as it goes, moving towards those cooler days. Well, the leaves on the tree outside are still green. Well, I like to think that I can see a little bit of color creeping in. Okay, we're going to talk comics. Next up, we're going to begin with 2001. We're going to begin a journey to the stars and beyond with Jack Kirby. Oh, yes, we will. This is issue number 3. And Marak, the Merciless. And that is a very stimulating cover. Absolutely. Kirby definitely firing on, 7 out of 10 cylinders there. Coloring certainly helps. Oh, there's a nice full pager. You bet. Then we have some Archie. And while the party is really getting going on the inside, Archie is content right where he is. We got Archie's joke book number 30. This is a nice early one here. Astrology jokes. Well, they might not be all that funny in the early 1960s, but they definitely be in vogue in a few years. And then on the back, how about this kid? Here's some summer Schwinn fun. Looks like he's knocked most of his teeth out riding that bike. It's very festive. Quite like that. It's a classic. Oh, yeah. Back when they felt that you needed a gas tank for your bicycle, even though you were powering you with your feet. Some more Archie's joke book. And here the girls are getting around the rules. Oh, yeah, that's how they do. You know it. How about this umbrella? Some kind of secret message in there, I think. We got some Archie and Midge. Archie, how come you never ask me out? Are you kidding? Well, we all know the reason why, Midge. It's because, well, you're a girl of low virtue. Yes, you are. I hate to say it. You know that I've long carried a flag for Midge, a torch, if you will, but I've come to the conclusion that Midge, she might not be everything that I thought she was cracked up to be. We're going to see that over the course of the episode, and I don't know, it's something that I'm attempting to come to grips with, and, well, I hope you'll join me on this journey. Here's some more Archie's Laugh Out joke book, in case you missed the point. You're going to laugh out loud at this stuff. Yes, you will. See, it's working already. This is an oddly Big Ethel-centric comic. Seems weird, I guess to all things a season. Yep, there she is. Got her own strip right there, her own one-pager, Big Ethel, coming up in the world. Sisters are doing it for themselves. And then here's some more Archie's joke book. Betty, dig the girl with Archie. She's wearing the new newsboy look. Well, I wish she'd peddle her papers somewhere else. How's my Betty impression? Is it doing it for you? Here's Jugword. You could do the crossword snack. Oh, yeah. How could you resist? That's why most copies of that book are hard to find in good condition. And then here's a really nice one. This is Archie's Pals and Gals number 51. This is a 25-center. So it's got this nice flat spine there to hold all the pages in, all the humor that you get. You know it. This off-shared image from one of the stories. I don't know. So maybe Midge is justified in casting her net about. Here's Archie's Pals and Gals, and the girls on the beach are all within reach. And then here we have a copy of Blazing Battle Tales, number 1, from Atlas Comics. And yes, I do have a copy of this. I picked it up at a flea market in Youngstown, Ohio. But my copy looks like it had been set on fire after a battle. So this will be a nice upgrade. Yvette must be inside. Let's pick up the plans and beat it. Oh, don't do it, Sarge. There's Nazis inside. It's a Frank Thorne cover. And then, speaking of Nazis, here's America's number 1 Nazi buster. That's Captain America and his pal the Falcon. And this is issue 150. And interestingly enough, being 150 isn't really like a celebratory issue or anything. Isn't overly sized, just seems to wrap up a story that, might have been going on for a few issues. Nothing really big as far as it goes, but we do get an appearance by Batroc. Looking a little purpler than usual. Maybe his other suit was at the cleaners. And then we showed a little bit of 70s Kirby at the top, and here's some more Captain America and the Falcon. And I remember really being taken by these covers back in the day. The energy that was on display here definitely caught my young eye. The idea that these two were always up against weird monsters and creatures and stuff like that. They weren't just fighting Doctor Doom and the Scorpion and stuff. You never quite knew what you were going to get with a Kirby comic in the late 1970s, and we liked it that way. Yes, we did. And then here's some Daredevil and the Black Widow, number 107, in Blind Man's Bluff, featuring Captain Marvel. And what's going on with Matt Murdock's shoes? And then here's some more Atlas goodness in the form of the Destructor, number 3. The Huntress has won. She's defeated the Destructor. Oh, man. Boy, has she ever. This guy has definitely seen better days. However, he would go on to get a 4th issue, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Don't you ever miss it. Except a lot of you would have missed it because many newsstands, they didn't even open their bundles of Atlas comics. They would just send them right back because they would rather have the money than sell a couple books from a publisher that no one had ever heard of. Made it very difficult for the company to get off the ground. I mean, when you had Everything's Archie crowding out all those potential new comics, I mean, Archie Comics must have had 30 titles at one point in time, and these were a safe bet as far as newsstand agents were concerned. And, how can you go wrong with pretty girls in bikinis? This one is a belt fetishist. All right. Think she could probably fit a few more on there, but, who am I to say? And then this one was wonderful. I was quite struck by this. This is Archie in bubble trouble, and Archie is swimming around at the beach, and he sees a striking blonde underwater. And she isn't coming up for air, it seems like. It's almost like she's some kind of mermaid or something. She's been down there for a long time. Veronica's giving him the stink eye from the shoreline. But, Archie, he just has to meet this girl, and he ends up following her as she eventually gets out of the water and, finds a little bit of a surprise as far as it goes. But shouldn't let that throw you, Archie. We call that the Innsmouth look, and you'll get used to it. Yes, you will. And then here's some Feds and Heads. Oh, yeah, baby. This is a 50-cent edition. It's not a first print. It might be somewhere between 12 and 14. But nonetheless, for enlightened adults only, I'm happy to have a copy of it because Gilbert Shelton does some amazing work. We've got some Freak Brothers in here. We have some Wonder Warthog and a couple other cool features. Then it's some Incredible Hulk, number 187. And Hulk's been defeated by the Gremlin, which, got a sting. I mean, he's about 3 feet tall. Can't really do a whole lot, to get around. He's going to fly on one of these things there. Definitely dentally challenged. So, that's a tough one to come back from, Hulk. Get up, buddy. You're embarrassing yourself. Okay, and now we're going to start on a run of Iron Man comics because that's what this episode is all about. We begin with Iron Man number 107, and it's the Hour of the Golden Doom. And this is Iron Man against the shocking menace of Midas, and he does exactly what you would think he does. He turns things into solid gold. After a bit of a kerfuffle, Iron Man lives. He gets it in gear. He goes after Midas. But he may have underestimated this sinister fiend because we find in issue number 108, which I also happen to have, that all his pals have been turned to gold. Oh, yeah, so that's going to be a little bit difficult to manage, but it's okay, because he's brought along Hank Pym. No, wait a minute, maybe it's not okay. And Jack of Hearts is in there, too. Seems by the end of the issue they've resolved a lot of this, but it's an exciting ride, courtesy of Bob Mantlo writer, Carmine Infantino as guest artist, and bodacious Bob Wysack as inker. And I gotta say that Bob does amazing work on Carmine's pencils. I don't think I've ever seen Carmine look better, to be honest with you. So this is Invincible Iron Man number 108. And then here's number 112, and this is an issue that I've never read before, but would have certainly caught my eye on the newsstand. The Armored Avenger goes it alone against the Punisher from beyond. Yep, that's right. It's Motown Mayhem. Oh, I can't wait to read this. Hope it's very Motown-y. And then we even get some Fred Hembeck. Oh, yeah. You just never knew what you were going to get in one of these Marvels from the 70s because, they were making up the rules as they went along. Much like Iron Man does. Here he is invading Russian airspace back in the USSR. And this is the beginning of a run that I gave to my brother, Dennis, many years ago. It was Christmas. Wanted to give him a gift, wanted to give him something that he'd appreciate. So I gave him a big stack of Iron Man comics. And a few of these were in there. I've been in the process of replacing those. And it was well worth it because it made Iron Man one of Dennis's favorite characters. Here he is, Iron Man in Meltdown. And then we're going to jump ahead into the 1980s. And this is the final Silver Centurion armor. That's it. It's the death of a hero. And this is the conclusion of the Armor Wars saga. And, Iron Man had just gone too far as S.H.I.E.L.D. and the authorities were concerned. They just had to bring him down, and they send in this dude, I think his name is Firepower, and he goes after Tony. And in the end, it would appear as though this incarnation of Iron Man is killed at the end of the episode. He gets blowed up real good, but, we all know that next issue, who is the new Iron Man? Well, it's the same as the old Iron Man. He just has a nicer butt now. They make it a point to emphasize that. And then this kind of wraps things up. This is an Armor Wars epilogue, and this is a very nice issue because it has art by Barry Windsor Smith, who was doing some wonderful stuff at the time. Next up, it's Iron Man number 260 and Armor Wars 2. It's just like 30 issues ago you had an Armor War. Do you really need to have another one, Tony? Was it worth it, I ask you? All that. In this issue, he takes on the living laser, whose powers have gone all unstable. He is unto a thing of laser, as opposed to just a guy running around with something on his chest, zapping stuff. Or was that the melter? They all kind of blend together after a certain point. This has some nice John Romita Jr. artwork in here. I'm not always a fan of that artist, but does a really good job rendering this battle. Oh, yeah. And then here in a couple pages, scene which stuck with me a long time. Living laser focuses his power into a single beam and zap right through Tony's shoulder. Oh yeah, that's kinda hoit. But what do they say? Wounds heal and chicks dig scars, so I'm sure you got by. And then here's 263, and he's still tussling with this guy. Had to bring in Wonder Man for all the good that'll do you, I reckon. And then here is the second appearance of the War Machine armor. That is correct. And a lot of people don't realize that Tony wore the armor this first time out. Things had gotten all corporate espionage-y, and so he built this sort of more tactical suit. Battle colors. Going in with the Masters of Silence. So I was happy to pick this one up. We'll bring War Machine in here to help out at this particular battle, because probably not going to go so well against T-Man, Come on, Rhodey. At the very least, we need you to stand up, buddy. Speaking of standing up, Tony Stark was no longer doing that in issue 284. It was the death of Tony Stark. Tony, he just had fought one too many battles and was down for the count, or so it seemed. This Len Kaminsky run was great fun. I remember picking up every issue and really enjoying it for a good while, till Teen Tony made the scene. If you guys remember that. At this point, Rhodey is in the War Machine armor, and he's heading up Stark Industries, and right off the bat, he gets some visitors in the form of Spy Master, the Beetle, and Whiplash. But he takes care of them in pretty short order, because turns around and then Atom Smasher is there, hassling him, making things difficult. You know, you're trying to run a multi-billion-dollar company, and every time you turn around, these superpowered terrorists are trying to blow you up. But this was a really cool issue because it showed Rhodey acting in a way that Tony Stark wouldn't necessarily, getting over on his foe and then being absolutely ruthless at the end. Ruthless. That's right. He's tough and ruthless. And here's Iron Man number 289, and the Living Laser, he's making a comeback. This time Rhodey's in the armor. See how it goes for him. And then here is a wonderful foil cover. This is a 48-page anniversary special. It's Meltdown at Ground Zero. Marvel was doing a lot of these foily covers at this point in time, but this one, always one of my favorites because composition is very nice, makes a lot of sense as far as it goes because, well, he's wearing armor after all. You know, it's just not foil for no reason. And as Orrin Phillips says, they wouldn't waste our precious foil on nothing, so this is obviously an important issue to have. Okay, Tony had returned from the dead. At this point in time, he was side by side with War Machine. He decided to let Rhodey keep running around in that suit for a while. And these are the issues which basically lay the groundwork for the Iron Man movies that we know so well today. Len Kaminsky, he deserves a lot more credit than he gets, to be honest with you, because up to this point, yeah, Rhodey had been Iron Man, but, you know, giving him his own suit of armor and his own autonomy really brought things into focus as far as a relationship between these two characters. He was no longer just flying a helicopter for his boss, you know. Now they were two superheroes. They were each on their own team, and so side by side with War Machine, you had to tune in. You couldn't miss it. And then we're going to wrap up with Uncanny X-Men number 304. Why did I get this? Well, actually, I got this from my good friend, Warren Muzak. Warren did a little bit of work for me, which you'll be seeing in the very near future. And when I asked him what he wanted for it, he said, get me a couple X-Men comics. So this is one of them. This is X-Men, once again, 304. It's got this holographic cover. I can see it shooting laser beams around the room. Well, I better be careful. Wouldn't want to blind my neighbors. All right, well, that's it. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Having a Drink with Mink. From myself, from Woody, Titanium Man, and all the Iron Fellas, cheers.